Chapter 15, 2023. We've got a great panel tonight. RC Randolph Childress is here. And in her Cubs World Series cap, Meghan McKeown is with us. Now, Meghan, I'm a Clevelander, so that pokes at the heart. Always will.
You know, John, I'm just trying to create a little controversy tonight, and I figured I would come in just off the gates, make people want to watch, because there's just going to be a little jab in throughout the entirety of the evening.
RC, that's what we do on After Dark. We create controversy.
That's to say the least, John. You know how that is. No one runs from me here, though, so that's the good thing.
Yeah, that's right. We got a big show tonight. We have multiple guests from a loaded Sunday, but a loaded weekend of college hoops. We've got Brevin Galloway from Clemson, the Tigers at the top of the ACC. What a season that they've had. They knock off Duke yesterday. We'll get to that and what Clemson has shown Brad Brownell in such a critical year. So we'll talk to Galloway about that. Plus, Souley Boum, the Xavier star guard, joined me for a one-on-one because I was in Cincinnati earlier today as the Xavier Musketeers welcomed in the Marquette Golden Eagles. This was the ranked versus ranked game on this Sunday, a Sunday that featured some Big Ten, but in the Big East, this was really the showcase game. Xavier 80, Marquette 76. Sean Miller's Xavier Musketeers have won 11 straight games. They are 7-0 in the Big East. Randolph, obviously everybody here and everybody in the college hoops world is going to say, well, we like Xavier, or wow, this is impressive. But how much are you buying in Xavier, not just for what they've done in the last month, but for what they could be come the most important time of year?
I think the scary thing about them is none of us thought they would be this good this early. And Sean was complaining about them defensively, thinking like, man, we got a long way to go. But they've been able to, as they're figuring things out, they've been able to win. I mean, like today, just balance scoring. They don't have to totally rely. They got consistency, but they're not relying on one guy to carry them all the time. They just got balance throughout their lineup. Their defense is getting better. We all know Sean's a hell of a coach. He might be National Coach of the Year right now. It's so early to tell, but no one expected this out of this team. And right now, like I said, they're top of the Big East right now. And I thought I have a good year. I didn't think they'd be at the top even this early.
They're also balanced. And you mentioned that they're not relying on one guy throughout the entirety of the season. And you saw that today. Souley Boum, who went 1 for 5 in the first half. And it's so hard. RC, this is a player. When you go 1 for 5 in the first half, it's like mentally, can you get back in it in the second half? And he comes out and he has 14 in the second half. He did a better job of kind of settling in and letting things come to him. But I've just been really impressed with the balance of the Xavier team as well. And like you said, no one knew they were going to be this good. So I think everyone's kind of like, we don't know what we're scouting right now because we just don't know what we're going to see on the floor. Now, I think as Big East play continues to go and they start to see some of these teams again, it's going to be a different game. But right now, Xavier is the team to beat.
6 players in double figures today. Jack Nunge, who was once at Iowa, he transferred into the Xavier program and has become a veteran leader for the Musketeers. 16 and 13 for him. Like you said with Souley Boum, he goes from really being a non-factor in the opening 20 minutes and ends up with 16 points, 5 assists. Kobe Jones with 13 points, 5 assists. Adam Kunkel with 12 points. Jerome Hunter adds 11. The point, look, they've got 6 legitimate double-figure options. Not phony, not fraudulent. Like they already have 5 averaging in double figures. They lead the country in assists. There is a reasonable claim to make that Xavier's the best offensive team in college basketball as it stands today. There's a reasonable claim to make. And if they're not the best, they're right there because you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know who's going to be that guy down the stretch. And Sean Miller brought it up after this game of this is the second straight contest at the Cintas Center. They had Creighton on Wednesday, guys, and Creighton gave them a great game. Today, Marquette gave them a great game. I'll be curious, Meghan, like you said, how does it work when they go on the road or when they see these teams a second time? And we can talk about that in conference play. But the big thing to me was Xavier out-rebounded Marquette 45-32. It's not like this team just has scoring. They actually do have an edge to them. And they've had multiple cases on this 11-game winning streak where they could have lost. but the coaching of Miller just seems to give them this challenge, this toughness that has edged other teams in the Big East and has led them to 7-0.
Not only are they rebounding the ball, by the way, 17 offensive rebounds today, but they're getting those boards in opportune times where it's just so deflating for your opponent that they're just kind of shoving it down your throat with their ability to rebound. They had 17 second chance points in this game, which obviously ended up being a huge difference for them down the stretch. But I think the ability to rebound offensively in opportune times has also been massive for them.
It's gonna travel well because, again, we're talking about the ball movement. You can't simulate leading the nation in assists. I mean, with balanced scoring, because they're just attacking you, and it's just unselfish basketball. It's a lot. You preach it. There's so many coaches and clubs that would love to be doing that right now. They're just not. They don't have the ability to. I mean, some guys don't have high enough IQ to do it, and they just have a roster full of guys that are buying in. They're getting better. You don't want to dare say they're peaking now, and there's going to be adjustments. They're not going to go undefeated in this league. The top 4 teams are too good. There's going to be some defeats on the road. Somebody will get up for them, but again, they got a closer. Say what we want. He would be on my all-college name team right now. Anyway, I love the name Souley Boum. I love the name. I love his game. He had a dagger tonight with about 30 seconds left in the game. He hit the go-ahead basket. It's just been a blessing. I know Sean was worried about that PG position when the season started. He's been that and then some. Credit to him and credit to Sean Miller and that staff. They're having a hell of a year right now, and I see nothing slowing them down. They're not going to run away with the Big East title. I still think Providence, when they get a healthy Bynum back, will have something to say about it. But they're right there. I mean, I don't see them falling any more than top 2 or 3 spots.
Can you hear Rob Dalster's frustration?
Oh, he's sick right now. Rob is sick. I was so hoping Rob would just get on tonight, but he's terrified. He doesn't want to get on the show. He probably was supposed to be here and called in sick. He called in sick. He's been giving me crap all year when they were the best team in the country. He rose to number 2. Now he's running. He can't hide. He's hiding somewhere.
He's running.
He's hiding somewhere.
I think at one point he said this is the national championship team.
Oh, he had his
November 20th.
He was shaking his pom-poms. He was
wearing his UConn jersey.
I mean, we obviously know this is going to change tomorrow when the AP poll comes out.
Yeah.
But that being said, UConn had a number 6 next to their name on Monday of last week.
Mm-hmm.
They are 4-4 in the Big East. They're 4-4 in the Big East. They fall today to St. John's at home. Obviously, all 4 of their losses have come in conference play.
Yeah.
And we'll get to them in a few moments, but we do want to get to our conversation with the man that you said is an all-name team member in college basketball. And if you liked his name, you're going to like his personality too, because he pictured this. He was an afterthought guy at UTEP. People didn't think much of him, but he's transferred up to a power conference, and he has made the most of his opportunity. Here's my one-on-one conversation with Souley Boum.
East leading scorer, and today he went for 16 points, 5 assists as Xavier beats Marquette 80-76. I'm talking about Souley Boum. Souley, you come up with the shot of this game with Oso Ighodaro on you. You've talked about the big moments before with me this season.
Yeah.
But where does that come from? The ability to knock down the big-time shot?
It just comes from hard work and preparation. I work hard on my game every day. I feel like it's deja vu. We're here talking about it again. I'm saying the same thing, but it really is, man. I mean, it's all the work that I put in. I put in the work, and I'm just when the time is right, I'm ready to go and deliver.
When you transfer into Xavier, you obviously had a picture in your head of what it could be like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But how does the reality compare to what you thought it would be?
I mean, I know what I had, the vision I had in my head, and I know what it would look like, and me taking the charge of this team, leading this team, doing what I'm doing, I envisioned all of this for me, really. I mean, I know a lot of people, naysayers out there, they were saying, oh, you can't do this, you can't be the point guard, and all that stuff, man, but I didn't really pay it no mind because I know the hard work that I put in and how much I work on my craft, and my teammates and my coaches believe in me, so I know what I could do on this level, and I just, when you work hard every day, things take care of itself.
Hard work.
Yep.
And then playing for Sean Miller,
Yeah.
How much has that made you see the game differently?
Man, I see why he's won so many games, man. He's a magnificent coach. I mean, he has us, not only me, but our team so locked in and prepared for everything that we're going to see, not even just playing the game, but physically and mentally. And he's just so sharp with everything he does. He has us ready. He doesn't let us get complacent, and he knows that we can continue to do special things, but we have to continue to stay sharp and stay focused and not just get satisfied.
Everybody talks about how great of an offensive team you are, and there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But what's it say about this team that when you need a stop, you find a way to get it?
Yeah, I mean, we like I said last time, we made the stops in timely moments today. I mean, that's what we got to do to be a good team. So, yeah, they say our defense is this and that, but we got the stops today to win the game, and we just got to continue to make those stops throughout the rest of the season.
I'm always curious. It's a Sunday.
Yes, sir.
What's Souley Boum doing the rest of the day today?
Man, my mom's in town, so
Good.
I'm gonna kick it with my mom. She out here. We're gonna go do something, but yeah, my mom's here, so I'm gonna have her company, and I'm gonna just enjoy my mama, man. So I'm gonna appreciate time with her.
Have we tried Skyline Chili?
Oh nah, I don't know.
That ain't happening?
Nah, I don't know about that. I don't know about the Skyline.
Hey, last one here.
Yes, sir.
11 straight wins.
Yeah.
Have you ever been a part of something like this?
I never in my life. Never in my life. I dreamed of being on teams like this and going on winning streaks like this, but it's just amazing to be a part of, and it's just credit to our coaching staff and the work that we put in, and our team just being locked in every day. So we just got to continue to keep it going, not get complacent.
Great to talk with Souley Boum. We thank him for the time. He said he was hanging out with mom today and just going to take a little bit of a relaxation time. He was out on Skyline Chili. I'm not sure if either of you two have any opinion on that.
I'm out as well. I agree with him. I'll retweet that. Who puts chili on spaghetti? Ew. Really?
Well, I mean, here's the deal. Luckily, Randolph and I are normal people, I think. But we have other cast members on this network that have horrendous culinary taste.
I mean, we got guys that put mayonnaise on steaks. So, you know, when you got stuff like that, I mean, you know.
So
No.
Xavier is now 15-3. They will be at DePaul Wednesday. Then they host Georgetown. So they could very well be winners of 13 in a row. And a week from Wednesday, they will pay a visit to UConn in a rematch of what was a great game in Cincinnati. We'll get to the Huskies in a moment. Wanted to get a closing thought on Marquette. Tyler Kolek, at halftime of this game, Megan, had 20 points, had 6 assists. He finished with 25 and 7. So something did change in the final 20 minutes. Xavier guarded him better. But my goodness, the gear that Shaka Smart's got his Golden Eagles playing at, the level that they're touching, it is really something to see how much this team has surprised. What has stood out to you the most overall about Marquette?
I love their offense. I think they spread the floor really well, and it opens up so much for them on that side of the ball. They're fun to watch. That first half this was a great game, by the way, but that first half, especially from a scoring standpoint from Marquette, was excellent. Tyler Kolek, he just comes off of screens well. He's able to handle the ball. I love how aggressive he is attacking. He's shifty. He can shake any defender, but he plays with so much swagger. I just love watching him. He's easy to root for. Cam Jones had 10 in the first half too, by the way. Came out firing. I think he made his first 2 or 3 shots. So this is a Marquette team rather that has so many different weapons as well that can score any given night. But I just think they're a really fun offensive team because of how well they space the floor and everyone pretty much understands their role.
Yeah, they'll be there. This doesn't change anything. They'll finish in the top 4. That top 4 is loaded. I'm not running out on UConn either. They struggle some, but I still think they'll finish in the top 4. You know, these two teams with Providence and UConn, and then it's everyone else. I don't think anyone else is kind of creeping into that 4. And what can you say? It's been really impressive to watch the Marquette, all their guys, the team. They lost so much. We didn't expect much out of them, you know, either. We talked about them the other night. They're legit. They're real. They're going to be right there at the end. They're going to be a tournament team. There's just there's no shame in losing by 4 to Xavier. I mean, that they're playing good basketball, and I don't expect that to change.
All right, let's turn to the other Big East game today. A game that walking into the day, you would have thought, well, maybe we'll get to it in the back half of our show tonight, get to it at some point. No. It's up top in our show because the St. John's Red Storm, who have frankly been a disappointment up until today in Big East play after a strong start playing a weaker non-conference schedule, march into Hartford and command. They didn't just win by 1 or 2. They command the UConn Huskies 85-74. Randolph Childress. What happened?
UConn's guard play has to get better.
Mhm.
I don't know what happened. I was, we were all high on this team with their depth, front court and back court. And right now their guard play, they're not playing well. I mean, even today, Jordan Hawkins had 31, but he had 7 turnovers. They coughed it up 21 times as a team against the Johnnies. And, that's their kind of game. If you're going to beat the Johnnies, you got to have solid guard play. And UConn guards, they've been really inconsistent. I think from the bigs, I mean, Klingon and Sonogo, one of them has played relatively well and been solid during the season, but the guard play has been up and down. It hasn't been as consistent as it needs to be. They got to fix that quick. I mean, they've lost 4 of their last 5. They got to fix that quick, and it's obviously they can't turn the basketball over, but there's got to get some guys emerging. There's got to be more consistency. It can't be even from Jordan Hawkins, and I'm a huge Jordan Hawkins fan. I've been raving about him since he committed there. 31 tonight, but again, I would have rather see him consistently being around 15, 16, not come out the next game, go 1 of 10. Jackson, leader of that group, I think, again, tonight, not much. I mean, Hassan Diar, nothing tonight. I mean, there's just not much consistency from the backcourt. And if that doesn't continue, then it's going to be a long season for these guys.
There's just no energy either. Like the last 5-7 minutes of that game, I was really disappointed in how UConn kind of finished it, even when St. John's kind of punched him in the mouth. I will say on the flip side of that, Joel Soriano, very impressed with him today and how he kind of played Sonogo because Sonogo is so physical down in the paint, and I thought Soriano did a really good job of pushing him out, and so he wasn't able to catch the ball in areas he likes to be at, and they struggled as a result of it and kind of broke down offensively. UConn did. I don't know. I just thought when the double came down on Sonogo, just they struggled to scramble out and find some offense consistently with that guard play. But I mean, credit the way St. John's defended today. I think that was huge.
Well, and to St. John's credit, Posh Alexander sets that tone defensively.
Yes, he does.
And he's talking,
he's backing it up. When he backs it up.
Backing it up.
Yeah.
Look, St. John's is the roller coaster ride of college basketball. I mean, you wake up one day and you see them play like this, and you're sitting there saying, man, they could go on a run. And they could come out against a DePaul or a Georgetown in the Big East or a Butler, and they're not even recognizable. So they've had that type of season. Today they show what they could be. There's never a denial of talent. And here's the thought process with UConn. You get a transfer from East Carolina and Tristan Newton. He flourished in the American. You get a transfer in Hassan Diarra from Texas A&M. Solid. You get Naheem Aline from Virginia Tech. Like, I would say this, on a day where Jordan Hawkins is scoring 31, UConn should be beating most everybody, but they shouldn't be losing by double digits under any circumstances to a team that's in the back half of the Big East. That tells you how rough their point guard play is right now. And it does beg the question, like, at this point in the year, I want to know from both you guys, at this point in the year, can you really tweak that much? Can that much be changed about who you are? Yes or no?
Meaning what?
Meaning, if you're not getting great point guard play, like, can you just, how are you able to get it?
But when you say, the thing is, you can't just manifest with someone just being an elite point guard, but they can't hurt you either. You have what you have. They have players. We talked about Hawkins today. He went for 31. He shot it well, but he had 7 turnovers. You look at the rest of this back. Aline 0 for 4. Hassan Diar 1 for 4. Newton 0-1. Jackson 0-2. Like, that's nothing. So if you do that and then you're turning the basketball over, like, that's what I mean. They need to get 2 or 3 guys that they can consistently rely on. And I don't know where that's coming from. It's going to turn around. I believe it. They're too talented now. Elite point guard play, that could be a problem. That may be the difference in them going to Houston or not. But they're going to compete. They're too talented. They're going to compete in this Final Four. I think the one concern that we had about this team last year, we thought, all right, if Sanogo doesn't play well and they can't run their offense through him and he's efficient, where is it going to come from? They got enough guys now that can make shots and make plays. They're just not. I don't know what's going on with the guard play now. I would have never. I don't have an answer to it. I would have never thought that. You understand how the Johnnies play. They force you. They speed you up. They're not going to let you run your offense. You just got to buckle down and go make plays. And that's disruptive to teams. When you want to execute sets, the Johnnies are not going to let you do that. So I don't know if this is a style thing, but again, 4 out of these last 5 games, they didn't play St. John 4 of the last 5 games. And so the guard play just has to be better. It's plain and simple. I don't think anybody's going to deny that.
This time of year, especially, it's hard when you talk about guard play, maybe scoring, for example, right? Where you feel like you get into a slump because at this point of the season, everyone's tired mentally, physically. You also have the fact that, intel is better. Now teams are able to scout you differently because they have more information on you. So I think there's definitely a curve in that regard. Here's my thing though. If you're going to go out there and play, what are you going to bring to the table if you can't score? Because scoring's not everything, right? Being a great passer matters. Being a great screener matters. Rebounding the ball matters. But the one way you can get minutes and stay on the floor and really assert your will is if you can do it defensively. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anyone on UConn tonight did it defensively. They switched up defense a little bit. Look, Curbelo was getting into the paint at ease. He was just slashing every single player on UConn, getting to the paint, creating paint touches, little jumpers in the lane, whatever. Then UConn went to a 1-3-1, kind of trying to dismantle that to an extent. But you have to be committed to the defensive side of the ball if the offense is not going well for you. And I think that's something that we did not see tonight.
Man, it really is staggering to see Connecticut at 4-4 in the Big East. I mean, I don't care how you slice it. Nobody could have seen that coming. You couldn't have. You look at the standings right now in this conference, Xavier 7-0. Providence is 6-1. By the way, Xavier and Providence, both their meetings are in February. February 1st is the first one in Cincinnati. Then the last week of the regular season, the rematch will be in Rhode Island. So they're at the top of the league. Marquette's at 6-2. Then Creighton's at 4-3. UConn's at 4-4. Seton Hall is at 4-4. UConn is next at Seton Hall on Wednesday. Any final thoughts, Randolph, on that picture and wherever you want to go in the Big East Conference before we shift to the Big Ten?
I believe in their coaching staff and the roster talent too much to think they're going to fall. I think they hit a rough patch. They're not playing good basketball right now. I don't know. Maybe the ranking as high as top 5 in the country went to their head. They started this week. They were highest second in the country. You don't know what that does to a group of young men that just and now they went from hunting people to being hunted, and they'll figure it out. I just, even if it means guys will start, Hurley will send a message. If that means guys start sitting down, they played 10 guys tonight. If that means they'll play the next game with a 7-man rotation, he'll light a fire. He's too fiery a guy. That's one thing I'm not worried about. That problem will get resolved quickly. And the one thing about playing early, sometimes you can play yourself out of it and you got to scramble late. Like there's teams like that. And Creighton's one of those teams. We thought they were a highly ranked team. They lost so many games early on. They're going to have to make a magical run come tournament time. I think they dug themselves in such a large hole. UConn hasn't. They'll still be nationally ranked next week, maybe in the late, teens or so. They'll figure it out. I'm not worried about them long term. Now, if their guard play doesn't improve, then it eliminate, how far of a tournament run they'll make. But I'm not down on them like that.
I'm with you. I don't think the early season was a fluke by any means. I mean, this team they've still got some great players. They've shown sports. They beat Alabama, they beat Oregon. The teams they've lost to, okay, so the Johnnies wasn't a great loss necessarily, and it was at home, which also is a knock on you. But They lose at Xavier, they lose at Providence, they lose at Marquette. Those are all road games against the top 3 teams in the Big East.
Yeah.
Get another
They're
shot.
all good teams.
They're all good teams. Like, it's not like they have a terrible loss. So I've got no worries about this team. They'll be fine. They just got to figure it out. Slumps happen. And who's to say they don't go undefeated in February? It happens all the time and just swings momentum. Anything can happen this time of year. That's why it's so hard to be like, are you down? Are you out on somebody? It's so crazy. Like, these conferences, when you look at the Big East, the Big Ten, SEC, it doesn't matter. From top to bottom, there's so much parity. You just got to ride the storm.
Conference road wins are as hard as anything to get.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what conference you in. Winning on the road in conference, there's no surprises. You're not scheming anybody. You're not out scheming. You just got to show up and figure it out. And they, like we talked about, the top of this league is damn good. It's as good as any top of the league in any conference.
Man, let's turn to the Big Ten. You talk about figuring things out, and you can't get too high, too low. 9 of the 14 teams in the conference have 3 or more league wins. There were 3 games today in the Big Ten. There's 2 more tomorrow, including an MLK Day special between number 3 Purdue and Michigan State from the Breslin Center. We'll get to that. But Meghan McKeown, one of those 6 teams that was in action today, happens to be your favorite in the Big Ten, your favorite team that you really like. So I'm going to have you fill in the blank. Meghan McKeown's favorite team in the Big Ten this season is?
Rutgers. I like the John Fanta version of Mad Libs, by the way. Rutgers. Rutgers is my favorite team right now in the Big Ten for a litany of reasons. 1, I think Steve Peichel is a hell of a coach, but 2, they can defend. And teams that can defend, I know it's such a cliche, defense wins you championships, but look, they are defending at such an elite level right now. It's forcing the way that teams have to play offensively against them and completely taking away styles of play. I've just been so impressed with, Caleb McConnell he's the reigning defensive player of the year in the Big Ten, but he just continues to have that defense prowess. But offensively, Rutgers is killing it right now. Hello, Cam Spencer, perhaps the most impactful transfer in the country, who has been a freaking killer.
Yeah.
2 games in a row, he's hit the game-winning 3. Today, huge game, huge final part in regulation. He's able to get that game close, and it goes into overtime, and Rutgers eventually wins against Ohio State. Cam Spencer has just come out and played with so much swagger and somehow fits into this group so well. And then Paul McKay, who honestly could be the most smooth and poised point guard out there. He's just a great floor general. And no matter what's going on, he has the ability to stay balanced. He gets the ball to his teammates in positions where they can be successful. This is such a balanced team right now that has so many different options and weapons, and everyone understands their role. And RC knows better than anyone. When players understand their role, that's when you have a recipe for success.
I'm such a fan of McKay. I love watching him play. I love his poise. I love his decision making. For a big guard, he plays like a big guard. He's not trying to be 6'1". And that happens a lot. He'll punish smaller guards. He dictates matchups. So if you send your 6'1" point guard over there, he'll dribble in there, Barkley dribble, Crab dribble, looking over the top, forcing help, finding guys. I thought his play at the end sealed the game, kicking to the corner for the 3. I think he just doesn't get enough credit for how good he is. This team defends their ass off. They're tough. They're physical. They're going to be there at the end. I don't think that they had as impressive of a road wins we talked about in this conference, going in and beating Purdue. They're real. I don't think anybody questions that. They're going to be right where they are all year. I'm not surprised. I don't see, because their defense travels, I don't see them having any midseason slump. They'll be right there, top 3 teams, I think, in the conference all year long. They're just good.
And not only are they, like you said, they're good on the road, they can defend on the road, but the RAC is arguably one of the hardest places to play in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Georgie Max Arenas now, whatever. It's always going to be the RAC for the record. Everybody just let it happen. How it's going to be. But when you can have that type of home court advantage in this league, are you kidding me? It's huge.
It changes everything. And teams do not look forward to going into that building. They genuinely do not look forward to it. And the Rutgers plays a New Jersey style. Rugged. It's not always pretty. It's Jersey Turnpike traffic on a basketball court. And Steve
You got to
Pikiell
fly into Newark Airport.
You got to fly into Newark.
Fly into Newark.
We've all done that, and it's not great. And I'll tell you what, they put the game on their terms.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the ultimate compliment because, guys, in the Big Ten, that is the Big Ten, right? Teams that put it on their terms, that are going to make you fight and make you claw. And it's like Rutgers takes that mentality of Big Ten basketball, and then they put their own spin on it. And the job that Pikiell's done, we should bring up this news as well. Earlier today, after the win over Ohio State, 5-star forward Arius Bailey committed to Rutgers in the locker room.
Wow.
He's a 2024 class prospect. Kentucky was in the mix for him among other big-time schools. Rutgers just got their highest ranked recruit in program history after the win over Ohio State. The point, like when they first came in the Big Ten, I think a lot of people were skeptical. How would they work? Would they be able to win? Football's a different story. When it comes to basketball, Rutgers has added value to the Big Ten Conference.
Guys, you know who they remind me of from an identity standpoint? They're like the Virginia of the Big Ten. They got that brand, that physical, that toughness. Like they're going to play their way. And if you try to play their way, you're in trouble. But they just seem to always figure out where you're not running away from them. They're going to control the pace and tempo. They're going to run on their terms. They just seem to make, and if you try to force the pace and speed up, you end up hurting yourself, taking quick shots, and they just come back down, score quickly. They're going to be there. They have an identity on the defensive end. They're real. I mean, we can talk all day about them. Everyone loves a physical brand that they play with. They got some athletic guys. They got some ballers, man. They're just a legit team.
And they're closing out games. You know, like at that Northwestern game earlier this weekend, Northwestern is night and day from a year ago. Defensively, one of the best teams in the Big Ten on that side of the ball. And for Rutgers to come out the way they did and close that game on the road, they were in a tight one with Purdue when they ended up winning that game too. Like they're playing in these tight games and they're winning these close games. It's one thing to be in a tight conference game on the road, but it's another to actually come out and finish it. I just think the balance of this team, the experience they have, and how everyone clicks chemistry wise, there aren't very many teams in this league, I think, that can beat them.
Which is saying a lot because heading into the season after they lost Ron Harper Jr. and Geo Baker, and we gained Geo Baker, but they lost Geo Baker and RHJ. I mean, those are huge, huge losses. And here we are. Here are the Scarlet Knights right back at it. They're 5-2 in the Big Ten. They're just a half game back of Purdue. Purdue's at 5-1 in action tomorrow in East Lansing. Michigan State 4-2. Michigan 4-2. Iowa at 4-3. Let's turn to other Big Ten action today. Michigan 85, Northwestern 78. It would appear that Michigan has been able to find some footing here. I mean, today, Kobe Buffkin goes for 20 points. Jed Howard goes for 16 points. Megan, is Michigan a team that maybe you're being more convinced by as each week passes that they're figuring some things out?
I've never been down on Michigan. They had some ups and downs. I know they got blown out by Arizona State, and that was not good. And then they lose to who they lose to? One of the Michigans, one of the directional Michigan schools.
Yeah, Western Michigan.
Western, regardless.
Central. Thanks, Trevor.
Here we go. Central's a directional.
That's why Trevor's the best.
But that being said, like this is still, I mean, they still got Hunter Dickinson on their team. Jed Howard is potentially a lottery pick. I mean, you got so many different pieces here. Kobe Buffkin's, he's a great player. You know, you have all these different pieces here. So I've never really been like too down on them. But also, I was really impressed with Doug McDaniel today and just how he kind of came on. He finished with 17 points, and I thought he really commanded the offense well, and I thought he was poised, cool, calm, and collected for a lot of the time. But I got to say one thing, that was the ugliest first 10 minutes of basketball I've seen in a long time opening this game. I mean, at one point, nobody wanted the ball. It was like a cartoon where people were running into each other and like missing, and there was some ugly basketball, but I've been impressed with Michigan. Just look, it's so easy to throw out a hot take after they lose, right, to a team they shouldn't lose to. But it's a long season, you know? And so for them to just kind of continue building and building, like you don't want to peak in December. You want to peak in February headed into March. And I think this Michigan team is starting to kind of get on that upward trajectory.
Well, they have to, because they gave some away early, and losing Jalen Llewellyn early, we were all wondering what their point guard play was going to be. How was that going to? And let's give little Dougie McDaniel some credit. You know, he had 17 and 5 today, and I said he'd be a blur. He is. He's a small guard. He's a blur. He's not necessarily a shooter. They're just figuring out how to play. I think Hunter's been dominant at moments when he's needed to be. Today, they were more of a balanced team, which you're going to have in conference play. You're going to need that. There's no surprises. Everyone knows how they want to attack those guys. Credit to them for responding. They dug themselves in a hole, and everybody was ready to bury them, and they're climbing their way out of it, and they're ready to play. And let's be honest, they should be 5-1 because they had Iowa beat, and they gave up a 4-point play late. You know, that if they just gave them the 3 and just inbounded the ball and make free throws, they had their chances of winning that game was big. And so that's one of the few mistakes I think Jets made this year, maybe, fouling a 3-point shooter and giving up a 4-point play when they were up 4. So, when you have a game like that down the stretch at the end of a game, you're expecting to win that game. So that team could very easily be 5-1, and we're having a total different conversation about where they rank in the Big Ten.
It's interesting because I with Megan on the fact that I don't think you ever could get too down on them. We all knew that Hunter Dickinson would be back. And so with that in mind, it was just about what's going to happen around him. When Llewellyn goes down, you're sitting there saying, ooh, I mean, how do they piece this together? But it almost, is there something to be said about, hey, Doug McDaniel, it's your show. In other words, it's not like we're going to be sitting you. It's not like there's pressure, but now you've got to run with this, and it feels like he has steadily run with it and gotten better and better as the year's gone on. And I'm not saying that an injury is ever a good thing, but you guys know this. When your rotation gets shortened and you know what you've got to do, you're not looking over your shoulder and you're not spending time doing it.
But it matters. I think the difference is the only concern you would have had with him, because he's a freshman. That's the only concern you would have had. Whereas that, with Llewellyn, you had a 5th-year guy, you had a grad student. So that level of experience from somebody you was expecting, you lost a great deal of experience, some size, some experience, probably a little better perimeter shooting. But Dougie's a ball. I've been a fan of his since he was in high school. I'm still a fan now. He knows how to play, and a lot of these guys, they're from the same league. They played against each other, like Hunter Dickinson's Demantha, him Demantha, and T. Williams and Dougie. They all played against each other in the same area, AAU together. So there's a familiarity with that roster that's going to help these guys too as they continue to ascend in the Big Ten.
And again, for Doug to have the game he did today against, like, Northwestern's one of the best defensive teams in the Big Ten. And I thought he did a really good job handling the pressure at times. And he's going to continue just to kind of settle into this rhythm as they continue getting through Big Ten play.
It's going to be important for Michigan. And I think we all would agree here. I don't know if I even have to ask this question, but I'll ask it anyways. Do you believe Michigan will hear their name called on Selection Sunday?
There's work to do, but I do. There's work to do. But I do think they'll be there. I think like I said, Hunter's a great player. I think as long as they play through him, even today, he had a double-double. Wasn't his best offensive game, but he draws a lot. I think he's an excellent passer. I think they'll, as long as they stay where they are right now. They got too many chances in the Big Ten. They just, that's the big thing. They're going to get enough quad 1 wins because they're a good team. They're going to stay, long as they stay in the upper half, top 5 or so in the conference play. That's all they need. The conference alone will provide all the resume boosting wins that they need. They'll be fine.
See, this is where, Megan, this is where, go ahead.
I was going to say, to that point, Hunter Dickinson and Jet Howard are 2 players that the nation wants to watch. And that plays a factor when it comes in who you're going to let into the tournament. And
this is where, Megan, and I think when we're trying to figure out the forecast of the league, it might be hard to determine who's 4th in this conference and who's 6th in this conference. It changes daily, but not every league has the luxury that Michigan has in the Big Ten, in that every night or most nights, you're going to have an opportunity to bolster that resume. So they might be 0-6 against quad 1 right now, but there's a bevy of chances to still come for them. And this is where the depth of the Big Ten, this is where, folks, November and December performance matters. When you're sitting there saying, well, it's early. Yeah, but you could build your conference profile so that during conference play, everybody's getting a piece of the pie. And I feel like that's where the Big Ten is, Megan.
But John, go ahead. I'll add this though,
Yeah,
Megan. Megan, I'll throw this to you. We say that, but this year they lost the ACC Big Ten Challenge.
Mhm.
So that's where I think some of it, where it's not, we know this league and this conference will be good, but there's a lot of negativity about, hey, you let too many teams in the tournament last year. We know Boeheim made the comment about them, but there's people that believe that. So my question would be that. So we're saying this, but again, ACC teams did well, and even in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, they won some games. In Carolina beating Ohio State, beating Michigan, even in the tournament. I mean, in New York. So it's just still different, but I don't know if they have as much as that to rely on, as much as that is perception or is that reality.
I'm also curious, and I'd have to sit down with a pen and a piece of paper to really map it all out. But I think there's something to be said about all these different Big Ten teams, because most of them had a ton of transfers come in and they had freshmen. So I think what we're seeing right now with the portal is, now that we're in January, teams are finally starting to click with all that new talent. Look at Illinois, for example. They're finally starting to get things rolling again. They've had some time together. But early on, you don't necessarily see that, because, with the portal, you're throwing players in together and kind of trying to make something happen. So for you to not perform well, yes, it'd be great. Everyone wants to play great in November and December. But to me, it's not that much of a concern. If you're able to build it by January, February, again, I don't want to peak in December. I want to peak in February going into March. So to me, I wonder how much of that was the fact that so many of these teams are dealing with different portal kids that they've had to kind of get into the system, infiltrate, get the chemistry going. And now we're starting to see the benefits of it.
Maybe so. I think that the other thing is, like, as much as the ACC took the ACC Big Ten Challenge, the Big Ten has 10 of the top 55 teams in the net rankings. Mm-hmm. And some people hate on the net. Some people think the net is actually proper. There's all different kinds of stuff on that. And it's not the sole thing that determines whether or not a team gets into the NCAA tournament. But the point still stands. When your league is 14 teams, and 10 of those teams are inside the top 60, in fact, inside the top 55, all hanging around top 50 opponents, that means that cannibalism is okay in this case. Like, if you're beating up on one another, it is what it is in the Big Ten.
Jim Boeheim does not think that, but yes, look, at the end of the day,
let's get Boeheim on the line, see what he says about it.
Call him up right now. But that being said, I feel like, as a competitor, like, you want to play against the best of the best when it comes to conference play. And so in the Big Ten, that's what you've gone for the last couple of years, is you have some of these top teams you've got 8, 9, 10 teams in the top 55 in the net who are just beating the crap out of each other night in and night out. It's a dogfight, and I think it does help prepare you to an extent. But here's the thing: at the end of the day, the Big Ten has to do better in the NCAA tournament. They have to have more teams make it to the second weekend. They have to, and if they want to continue to rise as one of the best conferences in the nation, they have to do better in March.
All right, let's turn to other storylines, other takeaways from the weekend. We've got plenty more to come with Memphis winning at the buzzer over Temple. Did the Tigers save their season? Plus, Kentucky, are we now buying stock again in the Wildcats? Did yesterday reveal something about them or not? But first, let's go to the team at the top of the ACC. It's the Clemson Tigers. What a story. They just beat Duke at home yesterday, 72-64. Brevin Galloway took some time with us earlier today, and we've got that conversation here in a field of 68 exclusive.
It's now Clemson guard Brevin Galloway, who's coming off of a huge game and a huge win over Duke at home on Saturday. Brevin, how's it going?
I'm doing good, man. Obviously, still kind of trying to come down from last night. Obviously, that was a big night for us and big night for Clemson in general. So it was a big night for us.
When you talk about it being such a big night, the crowd looked great there. But what did it take ultimately to get this one down? That was a close game back and forth for a while.
I think just our poise and our leadership down the last stretch. Last 5 minutes, we made some clutch plays. A lot of guys stepped up and made big time plays. And I think this just shows how deep our team is, and how poised we are down the line. So that was big for us, and I think that speaks volumes to how we'll handle adversity and stuff like that down the stretch.
For you, let's go back. I mean, we joked about it off air, but for you, you were at BC a year ago. All right, you had eligibility left, and then you decided to come here. Why Clemson?
Clemson's obviously, I grew up 20 minutes from here. I'm from Anderson, South Carolina originally. And, for me to be able to, what I went through the past 3 years with injuries, and I kind of I wasn't really myself. So I wanted to come back home for my last year, finish it out the right way. And we've been doing great so far. So hopefully we can continue to keep it up.
To that point, Brevin, you guys haven't lost a game in a month. I mean, you've been on this incredible win streak. How difficult is it do you feel pressure from that, or how difficult is it to maintain that just one game at a time mindset?
Honestly, I haven't felt any pressure, just because I feel like for the first time in my career, at least, this is like, I've never been this successful. So to me, this is new. So this is all new to me. So, I mean, it's pretty much just kind of the same grind every day in terms of just attacking it and just taking things day by day, just because I haven't been this successful in terms of a team. I haven't really had that much success. So, I mean, obviously this is nothing new to me. We just keep our heads down and keep working every day. And that's what we're going to continue to keep doing.
What's been the biggest difference for you, do you think, why you're having success this season?
Definitely just because I'm healthy. Tore my ACL in 2020. Last year I tore my meniscus, had another surgery last year, middle of the season. So just to be able to finally get my legs back underneath me and to be able to have a productive summer, productive fall before the season, I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life. Dropped 63 pounds since I came back from Boston College. Since when I first got to Boston College, I was like 263, 265. I'm finally like 205, 200 range. So I've been working a lot to get back to here. So I've been fighting.
You're shredding, man. I gotta know your shredding secrets.
Put
that out there,
Megan. I'm gonna tell you what it is, Megan. See, a year ago, thanks to him, I gained all the damn weight he had because messing with Brevin, he had me eating them damn insomnia cookies. So every time I travel, I'm eating damn insomnia cookies because of you. So now I'm the fat ass because of you.
Hey, yeah, I cut them off. I had to chill out with them a couple weekends. I was eating them too much, but yeah, I had to chill out with the cookies.
Those things
I got to ask you this about your team though as well. I mean, you guys are 15-3. You're 7-0 in the ACC. Nobody predicted that. You guys are 2-game clear of everyone. Clearly the best team in this league. What's happened from the beginning to now? Maybe people on the outside didn't believe, but obviously you guys believe and are believing that you're the best team in the league. What is it about Clemson right now that has set that team apart from everyone else?
Definitely. I think that was the biggest thing I liked for the returning guys that came back. Obviously, whenever I entered my name in the portal, Clemson was one of my top targets just because of the guys that were coming back to the team. And I felt like I could come here and gel easily with them, especially with me being so healthy. And then obviously the leadership with Hunter Tyson, Chase Hunter, PJ Hall, those type of guys. I felt like I could just come in and gel. And obviously off the court, we're getting along great too, which obviously helps on the court. But that's just the biggest thing. I feel like we have great relationships and we're so intentional with being really good teammates, really good people with each other in the locker room. And I feel like that just shows on the court. And I feel like that's why a big reason why we're successful.
That chemistry is so big. What are you guys doing? Anything special off the court that you guys kind of do as a team?
I mean, with the summer, we had a big summer together in terms of just spending quality time with each other. For locally, I have a deal with a Charleston Sports Pub, and we had 2 nights where I was able to get the team, have wings, food, just pretty much cater for the team. So I had 2 nights like that, and obviously we took a big trip to France so that we were able to gel together for 10 days out of the country and kind of get that experience. So I mean, I feel like overall, we were just able to spend a lot of quality time with each other, and I feel like nothing was forced and everything was genuine. And I feel like that's just pretty much why we're able to be so well on the court and why we're not phased in those tough adversity moments. We can look each other in the eye, know that our brothers have each other's back, and keep pushing from there.
Back here on the Field of 68 After Darks, we start to hit the final stretch. Meghan McKeown is with us. Randolph Childress is with us. I'm John Fanta. And let's turn back to those Clemson Tigers. Randolph Childress, what makes them successful?
One, they defend their ass off. You know, Brunell's always done that. But what makes them unique this year is their frontline experience. They got an all ACC caliber guy in PJ Hall. We knew that coming in. He missed the entire preseason because he was injured in the start of the season, and then he's kind of rounding into shape. Hunter Tyson is probably the ACC Player of the Year right now, and Chase Hunter is giving them a guard on the perimeter that I can say when the shot clock breaks down or gets low, he can go get me a bucket. And, we talked about it. You got Brevin Galloway, lights out shooter, can flat out shoot it. They just have, they got 3-point shooting. They got size. They got balance. I've had one coach tell me that played against them and and a few of the top teams in the league and said that they're the best team in the ACC.
Wow. I mean, you got 4 different players that are averaging double figures in scoring. They've been consistent. I mean, they haven't lost a game in over a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
And they've always defended, right? That we've always known Brunell's teams always defended, but now they got guys that can score. And he schemes you well. They run good stuff. I mean, they're going to be a tough team to beat. If they stay healthy, they're going to be a tough team to beat. I mean, they got a 2-game lead already. They're clear 2 games.
Crazy.
2 games. And PJ Hall played big boy basketball last night.
Yes. He showed you why everybody's considering him as an all-conference guy.
Yeah.
When it mattered, he's like, hey, I got you.
I actually think it shows you how good Clemson is. That Hunter Tyson was quiet against Duke. He was pretty quiet. He's in single digits. He had 2 made field goals, didn't hit a 3. And that they pull away and win by 8. That they didn't need Tyson to have this great night. And that's just it. Is again, what's the theme with a lot of the teams we're talking about? Do you have multiple options late in a game that can get you a bucket?
Yep.
And can you stay poised? Like, can you not freak out at the end? And also they can shoot. That helps. They're shooting 38% from 3 as a team.
Yeah, they got guys. They got
3 helps everything.
Yeah.
All right. Now we turn to the $1 million question here before we get to those Memphis Tigers, which if you're hanging on, we're going to get to them. The $1 million question comes from yesterday. Now, I turned on the TV, had a bagel in hand. Okay. Saturday, right around noon hour, was getting ready for a game, but had about an hour and a half. So could flip around. You guys know as college hoops junkies, you start flipping around in different games, seeing who's up, what's going on, what's happening. Got to be honest with you, Kentucky, Tennessee was not on the front of mind heading into the noon hour. I mean, I thought I'd flip towards it, but I didn't think it'd be much of the game. 63-56, they win this game. And the immediate reaction is Kentucky's back. John Calipari had this all along. This is a huge win, which it is. It absolutely is a huge win. Randolph Childress, were you as surprised as the entire country?
Where is Rob Douster when you need him? Because I told him, I called this game, and I told him Kentucky was going to win this game. Listen, we're not saying Kentucky's void of talent, but that's such a rivalry game. You knew you were going to get their best. Now, the biggest thing with this team has been consistent. They've been up and down. They've been very inconsistent, but you knew they were going to come in and give Kentucky their best. Tennessee their best. Now, let's be honest. This Tennessee team struggled to shoot the ball at times. So let's give you credit, all the credit in the world to Kentucky. I'm not going to sit here and say they're back. I think the biggest thing with Kentucky is just what the level of expectations that we've had for them. And that's the only thing that I've had against Kentucky is because the storyline coming into the year was that this team was like, they're going back to the Final Four. They're going to Houston. They're going to be right there winning again. And we have not seen that. And this is a start. Maybe this can start something. I've said that before. I need to see more consistency from them before I go and say, hey, this team has figured it all out. Because again, I've been on record with how I feel about the team.
I mean, I'll quote tweet you, RC, and also add that, they got Oscar Tshiebwe. I mean, shit, they got the freaking reigning national player of the year. And I know he hasn't necessarily been great at all times this year, but I mean, you still got a shot when you have him. CJ Fred, I mean, you got different pieces here that they're not void of talent. Toppin, hello. Like, there's so many different players you can go down the list who are super talented. It's just a matter of like, can you continue to win an SEC play? They've shown that they could potentially lose on here on out. They might be able to win. I don't know. They've just literally left us with zero knowledge.
Well, they found a combination yesterday on the defensive end of the floor that made them, they toughened up. So you got to give Kentucky credit for that. They showed us toughness. Jacob Toppin, he defended. He didn't score much. He hasn't been great offensively. He defended. Oscar Tshiebwe to me took ownership yesterday of his team and said, I am not losing this game. I'm tired of it. That's what I sense from Oscar Tshiebwe. And you know what, Oscar? Good for you. Because you came out for your team and said, we are going to refuse to lose this game. He set a tone of the game. He was hitting 15-foot jump shots in this game. He was making tough shots at the rim. To beat Tennessee, you have got to out-tough them. Tshiebwe helped with that. C.J. Frederick, he contributed. He hit 3 threes. For Kentucky, that's like 5 or 6 threes. Because from three-point range this year, this team has not been very good. And Antonio Reeves came in off the bench. He played 30 minutes in this game. They found a length factor defensively. And with Xavier Wheeler not available, that length factor actually provided matchup wrinkles. Having said this, do I actually think differently of them, big picture? I don't think Kentucky was as bad as the entire country thought they were heading into the game. And not off of 2 hours of basketball do I think that they're back to being a great team. I think they're a good team that can be great, but that still has flaws in their offense.
They had 19 turnovers.
I think Tennessee was the right team for them to play because it was a big rivalry game. They played with the traditional too big, so it allowed them to play. You know, Mike, when I talked about before about the pieces fitting, you know, Toppin's a good player, but he's not with Tshiebwe to really mesh well with him. You would prefer to have more of a face-up stretch four. That's not really Toppin's game. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's a hell of a player. But that was my only thing about the team when we talked about it before, and I agree with you, John. I think they were a good team, and that's why I preferenced it before by saying the expectations of coming into the year were this is an elite top 5 team, and I haven't seen it. They're a good team. They'll make the tournament. They'll have wins like this throughout. This is a resume builder. I'm not surprised. You're not gonna out tough Kentucky and punk those guys. Not with Oscar Tshiebwe in the paint. That ain't happening. So let's see what happens going forward. Let's see if they can continue to and run get a couple more wins here.
All right, we got a couple minutes left. Here's a final from Philly today. Memphis 61, Temple 59. Kendrick Davis wins it for Memphis with a buzzer beater, and the Tigers go to 13-5 on the season in a critical game. Penny Hardaway's group finds a way to win. A reaction to Memphis's buzzer beater victory and Davis supplying it.
I need to call my buddy Aaron McKeown and ask them how the hell they let Davis get the ball. He's the one guy. He's the only guy. I would have understood if there was a slip and someone left. They just doubled him and left. Like, seriously, who the hell else makes a shot on Memphis's roster outside of 10 feet but this dude? So when I saw him get the ball and get the shot, I'm like, why is the inbound guy even guarding that guy? If Davis is coming, just double him. If someone else had hit and made that shot, I would have been like, oh, good game, good tough shot. But there's no way in hell on a baseline out of bounds play you can let Kendrick Davis beat you and listen. I mean, I've watched him play several times this year. I caught him a couple of times in Orlando. He can flat out do it. He's one of the best point guards in the country. Flat out can hoop. I'm not surprised. I mean, he's been doing it. He's the, I actually tease him because I'm like, how does the reigning AAC player of the year not be the preseason player of the year? And trust me, he's motivated about that. He's motivated to make sure that he gets that title again. I can tell you that.
And at the end of the day, what have we been saying this whole entire time? When you can get a road win in conference play, you take it, you get the hell out.
You run.
Get on the plane, get home.
You follow Rob Doster. I mean, that's what we've learned here. He ran.
Hey, we got to get Rob. Rob is running from us now. Tell him we still believe in his Huskies, man. He ain't got to run away and hide and shit and don't want to be on air. he wants to be by himself so Jeff can take it easy on him. He don't want Husky fans. We still believe in you guys. We're not hopping shit. We're not like Dobster. We're not closet fans that want to hide, come out and drink beer when you guys are winning, and then run and hide when you're struggling. We still with you, Huskies. We still with you.
Oh man, you're too much. Producer Trevor, it's like old school WWE. Randolph's in the middle of the ring right now, telling him to come out. We're all waiting for Doster to just appear and sprint out of the tunnel and into the ring.
He's hiding somewhere, man. He can't come out right now. We just got to give him. He'll come back. He'll come back in about 2 days or so. He'll wait and see what happens next week.
You know he's not around. He hasn't even been texting us.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
The group text. There's nothing. There's nothing in the group text. When's the last time we've been on here and I had a group text from Doster? Nothing.
It's true. I have nothing tonight. He must be in his sorrows.
Yeah.
He really must be in his sorrows. Hey, last thing here before we get to your 3 toasts, okay? 11 ranked teams lost this week, and it ties an all-time record. That was on Saturday, rather. 11 ranked teams losing on Saturday, tying an all-time record for a single day. Arizona got beat by Oregon and beat pretty badly. Arkansas, they get rolled by Vanderbilt. Indiana blew out Wisconsin. Wisconsin got manhandled. Now, that was built-up anger by Indiana. Of all these different losses, these ranked teams falling, TCU throttled Kansas State, although that's not that surprising. It was in Fort Worth. Of all these ranked teams losing, any in particular that really got your eyebrows to be lifted this weekend, guys? Meghan?
That Vandy loss is tough.
Which one?
The Vanderbilt loss.
Arkansas losing to Vandy.
That's tough.
Arkansas does not. I mean, they've lost 4 of their last 5. They don't look like themselves, and they've been battered by injuries.
Yeah, and it's the injuries, and that's the concerning thing. I think Smith's going to be out for, they said, maybe a couple more weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I don't. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, when you're battling injuries for a team that I think with Jeff might have picked them to be a Final Four team. They were right there. I mean, they were as good as any athletically, size, talent. They had it all. But when you're bitten by the injury bug, what can you say or do? And then you got to hope that he comes back. You got to hope that he wants to come back, because it's a legit question. What happens if he just says, you know what, I'm getting ready to go to the NBA. I've shown enough. And you couldn't fault him if he did. I know outside of Arkansas, people would understand. Arkansas probably like shut the hell up. What are you talking about? But that's a fair question. You're talking about he can't afford to go into the draft unless he's healthy. And so no one knows. I think I wouldn't believe any information. I believe it when he shows up, if he comes back. But if Smith isn't there, I don't think this team is, this thing could fall apart pretty quickly here. I just don't think they'll be, they don't have the talent to overcome all of the injuries, that they've had.
I do also want to add Tyler Wall not playing for Wisconsin against that Indiana team. Something to keep in mind. Injuries this time of year suck.
Good point. And Tyler Wall has been Wisconsin's indispensable leader. He has taken a sizable leap and has really taken on ownership of that ball club. And I'll tell you what, the Badgers are still a team I believe in. I believe that they're going to be a team that's really they're just tough. Between what Hepburn supplies, Stephen Crowell's gotten a lot better. But yeah, I would say this: Indiana's still dominating. I mean, they did dominate, and Indiana, talk about a had to have it game for the Hoosiers. They had to win that game, right?
100%.
And how long is Xavier Johnson going to be out with these guys? I mean, because they've been struggling without him, and they played that dominant game at home. Hopefully for them, they can get as many home games as possible. But they're going to need. That's a lot of pressure, to go forward. I mean, he's an experienced lead guard, and it's tough to win games on the road anyway. But they're going to need him back.
Fuel68.shop for all your merchandise. Check out the Daily tomorrow, 8 a.m. Mike Miller's got you covered with all the storylines. Check us out. SiriusXM, we're moving as well. We're adding another platform this week. SiriusXM Radio, we're on every night, 11 Eastern time. It's time for 3 toasts. Meghan, who are you toasting tonight?
Toasting my favorite team in the Big Ten, Rutgers, and my guy Cam Spencer. Heck of a time he's been having. Great game tonight from him. Cam Spencer.
Boom.
Hey, I'm toasting tonight to our friend who's probably somewhere burying his head in like a keg of beer and liquor. Rob Dowster, we still been believing you, brother. We believe in your Huskies. Don't do it. Run away from the light, brother. Don't do it. Come back to us, man. Toast to you.
That's good stuff. You know what? I'm going to go to the MAC today.
Who you got?
Dwight Murray Jr., he's a senior from Georgia. He went for 22 points today, 4 assists, and led Ryder to a road win at Iona. That's an eyebrow raiser. Iona was heavily favored in that game. So I'm going to give Jersey's home for me now. So if I can't have Rutgers, I'm going to go with the Ryder Bronx, who pulled off a road win in the MAC. And to you, Mr. Murray, great performance in a hard-fought road win over Iona that I don't think anybody could have seen coming. That's the thing. Sometimes in these, we talk about all the power conferences on this show, but in those leagues where they take the conference tournament champion, there are some results in league play that you say, what just happened?
John, you know this. Covering one big league is the best. I mean, it's the best. The atmosphere is crazy. Being around a Power Five all my life, and then all of a sudden having a chance to call some of those last year's SoCon finals, and just watching some of the one big leagues. It's competitive as hell. The atmosphere is stupid. It's so loud. It's fun. It's the best thing about college athletics, to be honest.
And I also like the conference tournament title games being played at the highest seeds home floor. It's fun.
When that happens, it's fun. It is a lot of fun. Last one for both of you. Purdue at Michigan State in East Lansing tomorrow. Who you got?
That's going to be such a good game. If I have to make a decision, I'm going Purdue. I don't know how or who Michigan State's going to throw at Zach Edey inside.
I agree.
I don't know if Sissoko can take him one-on-one.
Give me the Spartans in this game. They're at home. Tom Izzo has had to have been thinking about this for weeks and months. That doesn't mean he's going to solve the problem. He said at Big Ten Media Day in October, God is the only person who can guard Zach Edey. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know if he's going to be seeking any divine intervention tomorrow, but I do know this. Michigan State can space. They could space the floor. They can bring Edey out. And you know what? Desperation, right? Anger, frustration. Michigan State had Illinois in Champaign. They had that game in their hands. They were up by 7 points with about 8 minutes to go. They unraveled. Sparty will be ready for tomorrow's test, and I'm going with the upset.
We talking about the bigs on that? I think the game will be decided by the guard play.
I agree with you.
The guard play is the key to that game.
I agree with you. And in that regard, Michigan State's they've got a shot there to have the upper hand. Because, again, Purdue's guard.
They have the advantage from an experience standpoint. But they also have been prone to turn the ball over as well. We've always, I've lamented that over time with those guys. If Michigan State guard, and it's just their style of play, because this is going to be a game. We can fast forward tomorrow night. Just fast forward to the last 2 minutes, because this is going down to the wire. Nobody's running away anywhere with this game. I'd be shocked if this is, I don't know what the spread is. I'm almost willing to bet. Just fast forward to about 2 minutes, minute 45 in the game, one possession game. Let's figure it out.
4.5. Purdue's favored by 4.5. So there's your answer. There's your answer.
Go either way. Nothing would be surprising.
No.
Yeah.
All right. For Trevor Valise, Meghan McKeown, Randolph Childress, I'm John Fanta. Thank you for tuning into a Sunday evening edition of After Dark. We're back with you tomorrow night when we make our switch over as well to Sirius XM. Check out the daily tomorrow in your inbox, 8 a.m. Eastern time from Mike Miller. Feel the 68.shop. So long, everybody. Here's to a great weekend and another terrific week of college hoops.